Thank you guys for sharing. And man, my dad is right. In Ecclesiastes, it says, better to attend a funeral than a party. But what Solomon was saying is, man, we're here to party. We're here to celebrate Ruth Ross, or whoever it is on that day, to celebrate saying, hey, she's not here. She's no longer suffering. She is partying. She is living big in heaven with Jesus. So here we are today at a funeral to celebrate. Not the normal party that people think of, not by the world's standards, but a celebration of joy nonetheless, of a life well lived and a Lord well served. And Ruth Ross very much modeled that, and she did a wonderful job, as many of you guys have heard from the stories and testimonies today. But I think of her and the many hats that she wore. Many within family, just a daughter, a sister, a mother, a wife, a cousin, a grandmother, a teacher, a friend, all of these things that she was to so many people, and even a random woman who is a surrogate mother. That's a wrong word, surrogate, but just a second mother to a man who just was loved. And countless people have said that they have been loved by Ruth Ross. And I try and imagine the wealth of kids, how many kids have gone through her classroom year after year and have been touched by her life and her service and her love. And as 60 years, August 15th, 60 years, a woman who loved Art Ross and stayed with her strong. She had 3 boys who she loved deeply to the very end. She came from a family with 2 loving parents who loved the Lord deeply. From an early age, she was raised to love Jesus, to pour into the Word, to know who God was. And it showed because she was faithful to Him. And because of God in her life, she was faithful to everybody in her life. And it is clearly apparent. And when I was thinking through this week what to say, where to go, I just was struck by the fact that there's a book in the Bible that was not named after her, but she was in a sense named after, Ruth. And so I just poured into it. I said, God, what does this name mean? And it was amazing, the parallels between this woman in the Bible so many, many years ago and this woman who lived among us and that we remember today. And just the things that have been said over and over, the adjectives of a hard worker. She was diligent, she was faithful, she was obedient, she was a servant. She was incredibly gracious and grateful. She was sweet. And I looked through the whole book of Ruth, and here it was about a woman named Naomi who had some sons, and they died, but they left their wives, Orpah and Ruth. And after a while, Orpah left, but Ruth said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. I'm staying, because she was faithful. And they went home, and she was outcast because her husband was gone. She had nothing. She went back to Bethlehem and was so poor. And Ruth said, I'm going to do everything I can to make your name again. I love you. Even though I'm not family, I love you. And I think about that story and just the so many things biblically that we see Ruth there model and do, and the things that I've seen my own grandmother in my own life and countless other lives model, and the diligence and the faithfulness and the gratitude. And then I had a blessing of seeing my own mom to be a Ruth to her Naomi and to love her as a mother-in-law deeply because she too was a second mother. To many people she came in contact was a second mother, and people just loved to love her because she loved to serve just like her Savior. And so also in that passage, I see that she ran hard after Boaz. She ran and she was gleaning in the field. She was getting all this wheat, all these provisions for her mother-in-law because she loved her. She worked hard. And so did Ruth Ross, working hard in school, working hard for her kids, laboring day and night, doing everything she could to provide meals and love and service. She was there day after day, time after time. And they know it. They remember that she loved them. She loved them well, and that's why Even in her old age, I've seen my dad love her well. I've seen Uncle Dave love her well, continuing to pour into her because they were loved by her. What's cool, though, is she goes to find a redeemer, to redeem Naomi's name, the name of her family. And she does. God provided that, this redeemer. And because of that, she married Boaz and was the great-grandfather to David, the king of Israel, who we see in Matthew, the genealogy of Jesus. Jesus, our great redeemer, came from a woman named Ruth, a man who came and gave himself to die on Good Friday, to be resurrected again after 3 days on Easter, to redeem the world, to redeem all of Israel, to redeem Ruth Ross. And so it was cool to see that full circle, a woman who provided a redeemer for her family, who birthed the ultimate redeemer, whom we are all redeemed by today. And it's just amazing. One thing that I have heard countless times this week is what a prayer warrior she was. My dad said that when his grandmother died, he knew that he had lost a third of his prayer coverage. A woman who loved him, and I feel that. I know that my grandmother prayed for me by name every day. Me and my cousins, my siblings, my aunts and uncles, the people she knew and interacted with, she prayed for. She didn't take that lightly. She knew that was her job. Because she didn't just serve the people in front of her. She served everyone that she came in contact with. And we talk about the countless names of children that went through her classroom and people that interact with her, but the countless people that are serving the Lord and striving hard for His will because of how they prayed, how she prayed for them, is astounding. And I see that in my own life. A woman who loved me. It's cool. My dad encouraged us to think of what's in our hand that God's using. And I challenge you guys, who's in your head? Who's the person you're praying for? Who's the person that you are really interceding for? Because in Revelation it says that heaven stops because of the prayers of the saints. We are heard. They listen. God listens. And she knew that. So I hope that we can take that torch and be prayer warriors for Jesus and love the people who are around us. 1 Corinthians 15, starting in 54, it says, "Death has been swallowed up in victory." And that's why we celebrate today, is because we are not mourning just loss, though it's sad, though it's hard. She is alive and well of a Savior that is alive and well eternally. And Papa, you'll be there soon. Soon the day will come. And I pray that the Lord doesn't tarry so that we can all be there again. Because death has lost its sting. And there is no sin. God has paid it all. And He has done it for us. And we can live eternally with Him. What a day to celebrate. And Ruth is there. And we will soon. I'm going to invite